Greetings, friends. I'm Jim Levinson, representing Compassionate Brattleboro, and our guest today is LORELEI MORRISSETT, a winner of the Brattleboro Area 2020 Unsung Hero Award. I should mention that this is the 6th year that such awards have been presented, originally by the Brattleboro Interfaith Initiative and now by Compassionate Brattleboro, which was established when Brattleboro voted to become part of the International Charter for Compassion. LORELEI is the Brattleboro Housing Partnership's Resident Wellness and Services Manager and works with residents at the Samuel Elliott Apartments on Elliott Street in downtown Brattleboro, a residence for seniors and adults with disabilities. Last year, in response to threatening behaviors that were discouraging the Elliott apartment residents from traveling from their homes to Main Street, LORELEI organized an awareness-building community walk to draw attention to these harassing behaviors and to reclaim the right of our elderly citizens to travel safely in our town. Many of you surely remember that extraordinary walk with residents of all ages, some walking, some using walkers, some in wheelchairs. So LORELEI, tell us some more about what that whole experience was like for you.
I have to say it was an amazing experience, and it was great to see how many community members joined in for the walk. We had great participation, and everybody was really behind it.
That is wonderful. LORELEI, am I correct in saying that this was the first time that you'd organized anything like this?
It definitely was.
and what did that feel like?
It was great. I felt like we had a lot of support. But it was definitely, organizing and pulling all of the pieces together. So
wonderful.
Yes.
One might have imagined that a protest of this sort could have become very angry and militant and mean-spirited. How did you keep it so peaceful and respectful?
We were very cautious at, the words that we were using around this, because we really wanted this to be more of an awareness, not a protest, so to speak. And so we were very cautious because we wanted people to join in and just celebrate being neighbors and supporting one another. Absolutely
wonderful. You must have had some worries and concerns as you put this plan into action.
Definitely. Especially at that time, there was so much stuff going on in the downtown area. And so we were very careful not to kind of get in the middle of that components and really use it as a way just to bring awareness and, neighbors helping neighbors.
Wonderful. Did you have any partners in this or folks that you informed or collaborated with in any fashion?
We did reach out to a lot of different places, including there's a neighborhood group called Feet that we connected with as well.
Right.
So we did have a lot of collaborations. We even reached out to the different store owners that were going to be along the walk, so they knew what we were there for, so they could come out and celebrate with us.
That is so nice. Did the police know in advance this was happening?
Yes, we did reach out to the police. They were aware, and they were a great support around this as well.
We're lucky in Brattleboro to have a police force like this that's really understands compassion in so many important ways.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that is great. Do you feel that the walk has accomplished its purposes?
I do. I feel like, it not only brought awareness to the situation, and the folks are now going back out and feeling comfortable and safe to walk on the streets, but the neighbors around are there to support them as well.
Wonderful. And so the neighbors have been have been in the spirit of this from the beginning.
Definitely.
That's great. That's great. That's great. And how do the elderly folks, when they think back on this, how do they speak about it now?
I think they were very excited and happy to feel supported by their community, to know that they weren't alone.
That's a beautiful thing. Tell us some stories about some of your folks, some of what they've gone through, some of what they'd wrestled with. Tell us a little about some of these people.
So just to kind of give an idea around how this happened and, kind of what came about. We had folks that, being this location right, in the downtown area on Elliott Street, that were very concerned about going out, especially in the evening hours and such, and really afraid that how that would be for them. And then we had one lady who was a senior, who had mobility issues, and she had gone out and she made it kind of a ritual to go downtown to have coffee every morning.
Lovely.
And she had had a really bad experience. And what had happened is some people had approached her, and she asked them if they could kindly move out of the way so she could get by, given that, she had a walker and stuff. And they were not going to move. They told her no. She told them that, please move or I'll have to call the cops, because she couldn't get by. And they smashed her phone on the ground. And she was scared and hurt. And she brought that experience back to the building. And by that happening, it just devastated everybody in the building. Nobody wanted to leave. They didn't want to go to the downtown stores or shops or any of that.
I imagine that must be terribly scary for some of these other folks.
Most definitely. And so when one experience happens, it happens to everybody there. And there becomes that fear. And that's kind of what we noticed is we didn't want people to be afraid to leave their homes.
Sure.
To be able to enjoy their lives.
Sure.
And so we rallied around the supports and brought the community together.
Right. When something like that happens, it's an insult to all of us.
Yes.
I imagine the folks on the shops on Main Street and on Elliott Street must have themselves been pretty unhappy to see that happen. And all of us,
Yes.
Who in so many ways are so proud of our town, would find that just very, very upsetting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was very disheartening.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
a wonderful thing came out of it, which is fabulous.
That is wonderful. And I imagine that some of these elderly folks that have family, who knows where, they must have felt pretty good about this also. First, scary that it had happened,
Yes.
but then pretty uplifted to know that this kind of a response and result might be possible.
Definitely. And to know, we live in such a wonderful town that we can come together with things like this.
Right, right. Did you have a sense of this town being special from, you grew up in the area.
Yes.
Did you have a sense of that from the beginning?
Definitely. I had my time when I went out in my early 20s and experienced things throughout the United States. And I came back here because it's a very special place. And
Right.
It's such a great community.
Right. I was visiting with some folks at the overflow shelter, and we were talking about compassion, and they said, you ought not to talk too much about it because we're just going to get overwhelmed with people that just want to live here. Really nice. So what about now? I imagine now you have a different set of challenges with the COVID period.
Most definitely.
Tell us something about that.
Yeah, I can say we were really worried, especially about our folks in the senior and adults with disability locations. And we took a lot of time to really think about that. And as I'm sure you're aware, just in normal day-to-day circumstances, social isolation is a huge concern. So given the COVID, that's even more of a concern, and how much it can affect somebody's health and mental health, and we wanted to make sure we could do the best to support them, even though we couldn't be with them. So as we thought about this, we decided to do phone calls.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so basically the majority of our staff just rallied around, and every day we called our residents and checked in with them, talked with them about whatever they wanted to talk about,
Look at
and made
that.
sure that they were okay.
Look at that. Wow. Wow. Okay, call me up. I'm one of your residents. Yes?
Hi.
Is this Lorelei?
This is.
Oh, Lorelei, I feel so lonely. I don't get to see anybody.
Oh, I'm
I
so
miss
sorry.
you.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Well, I watch a little TV, but that can get boring too. And I try to read a little bit, but that can get boring. I just miss people. I miss you.
I miss you as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about what you've watched lately.
Well, I watch some old things, like from when I was younger. Like I watched I Love Lucy and
Oh,
Father
yes.
Knows Best. They do reruns of those sometimes. Those are kind of fun.
They are. I love those
You're
shows.
too young to know about anything like that, Lorelei.
I actually really enjoy those shows. And those must bring back some great memories.
Oh my goodness, I remember so. Oh, that just brings it all back. Brings it all back.
That's amazing.
So that's been kind of fun, but I just miss people, and I miss the time we spend together, and there's so many things we talk about, and our little jaunts around, and you're just a wonderful person. I just miss seeing you.
Well, thank you so much. I really miss seeing you as well.
Well, I bet these phone conversations are great.
Definitely.
And these people are very, very lucky to have you. Do you hear anything about other elderly folks in town, folks that are, for example, in retirement homes or nursing homes, and what their experience has been like?
I can say that we have had some experiences from our own residents going to those locations. And so we do have a special program called Support and Services at Home. It's called SASH for short. And that program actually works with folks who are being transitioned either out of like Pine Heights or a place like that back to home to make sure that they can be successful in their return home.
Yes. So when that kind of a transition is being considered, what sort of things do they look at?
So with this, what we do is we actually work very closely with the person that's being discharged and the team around them. So we try to make sure that they have all of the equipment and everything they might need to sustain at home once they leave the facility. So we do a lot of collaboration.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Are some of these folks tested from time to time for COVID?
Definitely. I know that especially when they're in the facilities to go into there, they have to do testing and stuff like that. We've experienced that as well.
So that can be a little bit scary. And do they have, if they get sick or fall or something, are there buttons in their places that they can push? How will other people know that they're in trouble?
Actually, they do. They have, they're like light switches or with pull strings and such.
Right.
That alarm in the building so that people are aware.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's say that you found yourself with a whole lot more money, budget, to do, whatever you wanted to do to bring joy into the lives of these people and to make sure that they're well protected? Are the things that you would do with more finances that you aren't able to do now?
Definitely.
Please, roll them off. And folks out there in TV land, pull out your checkbooks.
We definitely are always looking at being creative and how to connect with our residents, which has really been thinking outside of the box during COVID. We've been thinking about, trying to see if we can get more volunteers to help with food deliveries. We do have a great program in town called Everyone Eats, but we have folks that can't get there to get the meals, and they're homebound and they need help getting those. So we're looking into ways that we can make that happen. So we're looking around things like that. We also are doing things on virtually. Like I'm actually starting a cooking at home with LORELEI. And so that way the residents can actually, do a recipe together with me online.
So tell us some of the recipes that you've been doing together with these folks.
Well, I'm just starting, so I haven't started any yet. But I'm looking at doing, for starters, a whole crock pot series for the winter.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And do these folks have things like crock pots at home in their kitchen to be able to do that?
Many of our folks do.
Uh-huh.
And what we're looking at is, because this would mean, having to get supplies and stuff to be able to do this, we're looking at, giving them gift cards and such so that they can
good.
buy the supplies.
Good. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, LORELEI, before we let you go, we want to hear some more about you. Tell us some adventures about your life. Tell us a little bit about what you've been through over the years.
Oh, goodness. So I was born and raised in Putney. I decided that I wanted to get out in my early 20s just to see what was out there. I moved around a lot.
Where'd you go?
Well, I moved first to North Carolina. I moved to Indiana, Arizona, and Nevada.
Oh, my goodness.
And drove through almost 48 of the states.
Look at that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Isn't that great?
And then after going to, kind of spread my wings, I decided this is really where I wanted to be. And I came back to be with my family.
Okay, so you've got some family here as well.
Yes, I do.
Do they live in Putney?
Brattleboro now.
In Brattleboro,
yes.
Okay. Well, they must be very, very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
That is just super. Tell us something about your family.
My mom and my dad were both born and raised here in Vermont. And actually, it was really kind of neat. My father's father helped build a lot of the houses that we lived in. And they're still around. So it's always neat to go through and see where they are.
That's wonderful. They must just be so, so proud of you.
Thank you.
They must have had quite a smile on their face also when they learned about your award.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my mom was very excited. My dad has since passed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure over the years he's been very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
And we are very proud of you, and we are very honored that to meet you, get to know you, learn about the remarkable things that you've done, and I can say in closing that the folks on Elliott Street, those elderly folks on Elliott Street, must consider themselves very, very fortunate to have you as their friend and leader.
Well, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, and very best wishes in all your further pursuits.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So we've been talking with wonderful LORELEI Morrissette, who organized this wonderful walk that we've been talking about. has been a mainstay for so many elderly and disabled folks in our town, and is one of the winners of the 2020 Brattleboro Area Unsung Hero Award. We are absolutely delighted to be able to honor Lorelei in this way, and we just are delighted to have this opportunity to be with you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.